Hi, I'm James Dickey, Senior Trial Counsel for the Upper Midwest Law Center, a nonprofit public interest law firm that fights for liberty and the rule of law located right here in Golden Valley, Minnesota. Welcome to our first episode of Minnesota Law Weekly, where we update you on important developments on legal issues in Minnesota. Today we are talking about violence in Minneapolis, the city's failed response to it, and our lawsuit to stop police defunding. We'll also provide a short update on lawsuits against the Minnesota Secretary of State based on election integrity issues. For the third year in a row, the city of Minneapolis canceled a 4th of July fireworks show, but that did not stop bad actors from unleashing a chaotic night of firework wars and shootings, including one that left 7 people hospitalized. Alpha News and Crime Watch Minneapolis thoroughly covered the mayhem of July 4th. More than 1,300 911 calls, multiple shootings and fireworks wars, with only 80 officers on duty throughout the entire day on July 4th. Undoubtedly, the actual number of officers on duty during the worst of that mayhem was far less than that. At the same time of this escalating violence, Theo Keith of Fox 9 reported that the Minneapolis Police Department only had 564 active officers as of June 18th. That is disturbing to say the least, when 731 officers is the minimum legally required under the Minneapolis City Charter. As we at UMLC have argued to the courts, this night of terror is a direct product of Mayor Frey failing to employ the minimum number of 731 police officers required by the Minneapolis City Charter. As many of you know, we at the Upper Midwest Law Center have been fighting on behalf of 8 residents of North Minneapolis since the summer of 2020 to stop the defunding of the Minneapolis police and restore the force as required by law. We obtained a court order requiring Mayor Frey to restore the police force to 731 or more officers, well over the current 564 active duty officers. And last month, the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled in favor of our lawsuit against the city of Minneapolis and delivered a blow to police defunding by upholding the Minneapolis City Charter's police staffing minimum. This now sets the stage for a hearing in Hennepin County District Court on August 1st, 2022, for Mayor Frey to provide evidence of his efforts to recruit and retain a police force. Until Mayor Frey and the city of Minneapolis address the understaffed and underfunded police department, our clients and all residents of the city will continue to suffer. And what is the record that we know so far? In 2020, when PTSD claims were on the rise and officers were leaving the force in droves, Mayor Frey and the city council diverted over $10 million from the Minneapolis police budget, which forced the cancellation of police academies, which could have slowed the reduction of the police force. In 2021, the Minneapolis Police Department had to beg the city council for more money to hold police academies. And as reported by the Star Tribune, even though the city budgeted $180 million for the MPD last year, they only spent $169 million. And in fact, the city spent $12 million fewer on officer salary in 2021 compared to 2020. The district court in our case in 2021 ordered the city to take all immediate and necessary action to return the police force to the minimum. We have no evidence that they did anything different for the last year. This is a sad state of affairs, and immediate and aggressive change, not a passive, weak approach, is necessary to restore peace to Minneapolis. Now we'll talk about duplicate voter registrations in Minnesota. UMLC is also representing the Public Interest Legal Foundation in a lawsuit under the Help America Vote Act, a 2002 law against the Minnesota Secretary of State. This is because there are 586 duplicate voter registrations on the Minnesota Statewide Voter Registration System, or SVRS. Even though the Secretary of State admits that it is responsible for maintaining the SVRS under Minnesota Statute 201.171, it claims that it has no responsibility to actually get rid of known duplicate voter registrations, or even work with the county auditors or city clerks to do so. This is an abdication of duty in our view, and we are looking forward to a hearing in which we will show the administrative law judge that the Secretary of State needs procedures in place to fix obvious election integrity problems when they come up. We also represent Minnesota Voters Alliance in an ongoing lawsuit against the Secretary of State to allow election judges on the absentee ballot boards to use their wisdom, judgment, training, and common sense to determine whether a voter actually signed their absentee ballot and not some other person. The Secretary has a rule in place that makes doing that impossible because it prevents election judges from rejecting ballots where signatures between absentee ballot applications and absentee ballot return envelopes don't appear to match. We argued that case in the Minnesota Court of Appeals on June 9th of this year, and we are looking forward to a decision in early September or even sooner. Well, that's it for this week on Minnesota Legal Weekly. You can learn more about Upper Midwest Law Center's many cases by visiting www.umlc.org, and you can also make a donation on our website to help fund our legal work on behalf of all Minnesotans in support of liberty and the rule of law. Thank you, and see you next week.